Hey, what's up, everybody? Cheyenne Perry here with the Lean In podcast, where everyone has a story to tell. It's time to lean in, listen, and learn from the stories that are shared. Let's get it. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Cheyenne Perry here with the Lean In podcast. Today, a good friend of mine, a brother in Christ, loves the Lord, loves everybody in the world. Josh Chamness, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we'll cover a plethora of topics today, but just kind of get us going here. Can you kind of just walk us through your story, your testimony? I know that's a big question, but yeah, what's your story?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I am a husband, recently married to my wife, Savannah. We have three awesome children, two daughters and a son. And, my background and backstory is one of really brokenness to boldness.
Mm.
My background growing up, I encountered a lot of trouble, heartbreaks, sudden loss. And, so through all of that, when I became a father in 2010, that's when my life really started to change in the direction where it is now. But through it all, I kind of grew up small town USA, small town kid, grew up playing sports, really had an easy upbringing until I was probably, 10, 11. That's when life really came at me as a young child, full force. And through a lot of that came about a lot of substance abuse and a lot of dark roads and times in my life. But as we're going to cover, God was not done with me.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to dive into some of this and discuss more as we go.
Oh yeah, that's for sure, man. Yeah, I'm excited. So I know we met about 5 years ago when your sister and my best friend got married, and man,
Yeah.
time flies by. So time is a thief.
Yeah, it is. It is. It came by quick.
Yeah. For those who don't know you, can you just kind of share a little bit of your background as far as what you do, things like that?
Yeah. So I've growing up, kudos to my mom. She really instilled on me and being creative. I was into poetry, I was into music, I was into singing, I was into sports, I was into the outdoors, into all of that. And but the background now is I'm a men's small group leader. Started that just over a year ago,
Okay.
and we coined ourselves the Misfits. Fitting. I do a Facebook community called Fathers for Love and Truth.
Mm.
And I also just recently started uploading content to YouTube under the Faithful Misfit. But that's really where my background is. I've always been the one to express myself. When others were having a seat, I was standing up.
Mm.
Never shied away from conversations, from anything. Even before I really knew Christ, I would be the one that would let people know, no, I'm not okay. And, this is what my life looks like. But I took a lot of pride in being the one who people could look at that wouldn't give up. People always said, man, you've been through so much. How is it possible that you still smile? You still do these things? But I find beauty in that. But the background to that also is that I've always had a calling on my life to lead.
Yeah.
And I'll jump into those years.
Oh yeah.
So, my sixth grade year is when my life took a turn. My maternal grandfather had a heart attack and suddenly passed away. And the story is when I was 12, when that happened, I would go down, I lived down the block from my grandparents, but I would mow their yard. And, they were like, I think I had like baseball practice one day. And instead of going over there to mow, my grandparents were like, no, don't worry about it. We'll take care of the yard. And the next day came, and instead of me going over there to do it, I went out with some friends and was doing some substance. I was probably already smoking then and things like that. And that day I went to school and I got told to go to the principal's office for a
Mm.
phone call, which was very unusual. My parents wouldn't call the school. They were wanting to keep me there. But it was my mom on the phone and telling me that my grandfather had a heart attack mowing the yard.
Mm.
And at that time, I really blamed myself. I didn't tell anybody, that that's how I felt. But that's when, I go to the funeral and I see my grandmother and my aunts and uncles all crying. And here I am tucked away, just feeling the weight of that as a young kid. And I was also bullied. I had a speech impediment growing up and got in a lot of physical fights. I got jumped by some kids that were much older, bigger and stronger than me. And all of that mixed into me starting to fail in school. While kids were solving for X, I was daydreaming of getting out of school and living life. And the big takeaway was that led down a path of destruction where I became the guy who bullied the bullies.
Mm.
I became the guy that would walk down any street, no matter the time or day, and really dove into a lot of substance abuse, physical violence, just fights in general. I was really known for just using my fist. That was the thing. Is like, if you see Joshua, be careful what you say. He's trouble. But in all of this, I spent some time in juvenile detention. I was a standout basketball, baseball player, played football, 3-sport athlete, failed out of school, expelled from school. And then that just crushed me. When you get things taken away from you as a young kid, it's like, everyone just sees the trouble, but no one at that time was stopping and just wondering. It was like, hey, Josh is trouble, be careful. But it was never, what's going on? Are you okay?
Right.
Like, can we help you? So that really stems where I'm at now, is I know there's so many young men in the world that need someone to come alongside them, talk to them, and meet them where they are as Jesus has met us. That's a little bit of the background, so much deeper. But again, is when I became a father, when I in 2010, that's when something cracked open in my heart. And I knew then that I had to turn this life around.
Yeah. Man, that's deep. That's heavy. Well, I appreciate you going full throttle on that. So, your husband, your father, two very important roles. How do you balance those responsibilities?
Man, being a husband and father are two of the greatest gifts a man could become, in my opinion. I think that being a father, being a husband, for me, it was life changing. When my oldest daughter, who's 15 now, was born, at first I really didn't know. I had a great father growing up, and he coached me in baseball, taught me really how to be a man, to hold my own and go out and get it and learn. And he used to say, do what you can with what you have.
Mm.
And I lived by that, but the balance is staying present. And I know that's so cliche, but there's this story that I like to tell about my daughter, Deja. We were at a bookstore, and she's trying to decide what book to get. And there's this moment where she's just debating, and she looks at me, she doesn't know what to do. And I say, Deja, let's get both. And her eyes just lit up. And I could see there that when you say yes, it matters. But also, I say that to say also what you say no to truly matters. When you say no to certain things, whether it's, more time away from home, things that you want to do, fishing, going to the Y and playing ball, things like this, when you say no to things, though, it makes the yeses count even more. And that's what I try to embody now as a husband and a father. I say no to so much. And it's not that I don't see good in it or I don't see potential, but at the moment, what is the most heavenly rewarding thing that I could focus on? And that's being a husband and being a father. But you have to find that balance of knowing what's the most important thing today. What can I do to show all three of my children, who are all so different, the version of me that they need, but also keeping things in order. So calendars, that's a big thing in my life. I'm a calendar guy. I got calendar for bills, calendar for these types of events. But I also have calendars for time spent with my children and my wife. So if you look at my calendar, you'll see, hey, I have a play date with my son Tuesday at 7. The following week, hey, I got another event for my oldest. So I'm spending time with them individually and letting them know you're important, and we'll put it on the calendar together. So I'll say, hey, here's my openings. When do you want to hang out? And I get them involved in my daily routine so they feel that importance. And same with my wife. We've been together 18 years now. And you just don't make it that long without being intentional and truly focusing on that balance. So it's saying no, it's saying yes, but it's really focusing on what's the most important thing, and that is your household. So it helps tremendously.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. Yeah, shout out to all the fathers out there. Keep working, keep doing the best that you can, and God will
Yes,
lead you through every step of the way. Speaking of your kids, I know you, like I said, you like to spend time with them. You carve out time with them. You're very intentional. What are some cool or unique ways that you get to uh, do life with them? Any fun routines or things like that you?
absolutely. This is my favorite part about being a father, is all the fun that I get to have with them. And
Yeah, yeah,
yes. I mean, it's a truly rewarding process, but I think what I try to do is submerge myself in their life. So, for instance, my two oldest daughters go to what's called UC students. You might have heard of like 180. It's kind of a youth group,
yeah, yep,
and but I volunteer there. So I volunteer where they're going. The father daughter dances, the games, the practices, homework. You have to submerge yourself into their lives. By doing so, it allows you to truly focus on each individually, but as a whole, and giving yourself the grace to know you're not going to make everyone happy at all times. But it's showing them that there is a method to your madness that starts with love. You got to show each of them that time is valuable for them as well. But again, submerging yourselves in their activities. So for instance, like my youngest daughter, she loves to play basketball and fish. And growing up, I was a hooper. I still play almost every other day.
right now.
I love basketball. Oh yeah, no, baseball was my first love,
Okay.
but basketball, I fell in love with it. Played AAU basketball, high school ball, Gus Mackers, just
Mhm.
name it. If there was a tournament, I was in it. But it's just spending that time, like basketball, for instance, the AAU team was looking for a coach. I jump on that. Playing tennis with my oldest daughter at the tennis courts, jumping in that. Coaching T-ball for my youngest son, doing that.
Mm,
So it is opening up your life to serve them,
right.
to be present and to be active. And yeah, I mean, when you're trying to sustain a life for your family, you need to work, you need to find income, you need to survive and do those things. But I always put that on the back burner as not my ultimate goal. My goal was to show them that their father is here and that I care. And everything else just seems to just fall in the line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, praise the Lord, man. Keep it
But I
up.
want to add on that. Yeah, I want to add on that, like camping trips. Like we schedule camping trips with each other as a family, and we'll pitch a tent, and we will go to the grocery together. We'll take night drives together, go catch a sunset,
Mm,
dinner and a movie at the house, walks throughout the parks and trails here where we live. So you don't have to have a bunch of ways to create memories with your children. I mean, I think being present, I'll keep saying that. It's a
mhm.
big thing. Just being there actually matters the most.
Yeah. That's funny you say that because my wife just took our oldest two girls, camping in our backyard last night, first time, and they
Yeah.
loved it. So it's all about that creating memories, right, and being present. So yeah, that's awesome.
But it's memories for us too. There will be a time where we wish we were backyard camping.
Yeah,
So I'd like to do that now, then regret it later for not settling down in those moments.
yeah. I want to pivot real quick. So you just got married. How was that?
It was the greatest. It was the greatest. I think the biggest takeaway from me and for me was just where I'm at. The ceremony was the biggest thing we wanted. After 18 years, everyone's like, oh, just sign some papers. Like you guys are already, you've been together this long, you have children, you share bank accounts. I mean, you act as if a married couple.
Hmm.
And we were praying on it, like, Lord, what should we do here? And we just felt led to have a ceremony. So one of the coolest things that I've done with that, though, is me and my one of my brother-in-laws, we built the actual arch that Savannah and I were married under. A tree had fallen over, or was going to. It was like a, not a huge oak tree, but a tree was dying and no longer had life. And so he cut it down, and he and I had a vision to actually build this arch. So we had built a 4-post arch, braced it, the whole nine. And something that came about that was that my pastor who did the ceremony pointed out was that, that tree is dead. And as symbolic as it is, that's what we have to do as men, is die to ourselves.
Mm.
And I know that sounds crazy for someone that might be hearing this for the first time. As you get into things, you'll learn what that really means. But it basically is staying low, staying humble, putting others before yourself, not to the extent of jeopardizing your life, but as a servant heart, loving people as God loves them. So the ceremony went tremendously well. Our family actually funded the trip for us, a total surprise down to Florida, 4 days, Gulf side. Oh, it was amazing. And one of the funnest memories I have, though, is just us down there laughing together and realizing even after all this time, we still can enjoy each other. We still laugh. We still like being around each other. We're still best friends. So the wedding and ceremony, top notch, great experience. Highly recommend it. At least the wedding, if you're to that point where you love her and
yeah,
do it.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Don't wait.
I heard someone said it best: spend more money with premarital counseling rather than like a big extravagant wedding, all the glitz and glamour, or just more time with each other. And
yeah, we did that too. We did the premarital counseling through our church, and that was another turning point. We started to learn a little about our love language, and I was learning how to even get beyond the we have great communication, but there's still room for improvement. And we learned a lot of that through our premarital counseling. So, spending the time and energy to do that leading up to it was a game changer. It had us both so eager just to get it done. It was like, man, I really want to do this. So I think that's a great step to take for any couple, no matter if you've been together 6 months or 18 years, to do that and to make sure that you're on the same page when it comes to the expectations going forward.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So may God keep blessing you both, and as you go on this new journey together.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you started a new Facebook group, not necessarily new, but a dad's Facebook group. Can you talk to us more about that? I'm in it. I've been personally richly and blessed by your encouragement. Yeah, man, it's been cool just to see other dads chip in. I don't want to give it away, but yeah, tell us more about it.
Yeah, so I started a Facebook community called Fathers for Love and Truth. And this really was inspired by my coming about of fatherhood. When my oldest daughter was born, I felt completely helpless. I had a great father figure, but what can you do? You get to a spot in your life where now it's your turn. And although I had a role model as a father, he didn't. My father didn't have an active father in his life, and that was a really troublesome spot for him. So me coming into that, I knew, okay, I'm going to be present and I'm going to stay. That's what my father did. But then I started to realize, but how do I do these other things? How do I build a family? I know, hey, I'm going to play sports with them or go to the park with them. But when they start developing as a child, you realize there are some things at stake. And I think that's what I saw too, was a lot of young men who I just knew in life, right? Through jobs, social media, personal relationships, that a lot of new fathers feel the same. They want to be excited. They just don't know how, because it's so scary. And guys, we tend to suffer silently. We smile, we love being a father. This is the greatest, but sometimes at night, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, or even if you're going to make it to tomorrow. So when I was getting into Fathers for Love and Truth, I wanted to have a safe space where fathers of old, if you're an empty nester, or if you're an expecting father, or even thinking about becoming a father, where can you go? Where can you find community of other fathers who are like-minded that say, hey, we want to break the mold. We want to take it another level, but also be there for each other and have community as fathers where we can circle around virtually or physically and come alongside each other and learn, hey, your child has asthma, mine too. Your child plays sports, mine too. Yours likes to read, mine too. Yours has a spot here. It's a mixed family. So many families are mixed, where it's a blended family. So having all those stories and testimonies in one house where we can upload content, people share stories or wins or losses and things, and have someone there beside them saying, great job. Look at you go, man. I'm proud of you. Or I never thought of that. I'm doing that. I'm implementing that next week. I can't believe I never thought of that. And just giving guys giving them the platform to come together, learn, and rise up. Yeah. There's been so much feedback. I've come to know even more guys like yourself, who have aspirations and things in their life where they want to go. The feedback has been incredible. I've had 10 guys at least, fathers message me directly and just say, wow, I'm not used to this. I've never used social media in this way. Usually when I'm on here, I'm doom scrolling. I'm looking through comment sections, which we all know are just not where you should go. And so they're realizing, wow, okay, there is things that I can do, places I can be that will help equip me. And hearing that has been so rewarding, and not for my own glory, but just for the fact that, it's if you build it, they will come. And that's just been the biggest takeaway, is that they're learning, they're realizing, and this isn't to toot my own horn at all, but again, the doers of these things, that's our reward. I mean, there's a heavenly reward to this, but we love to see others leaning in, no pun intended. And when their eyes open that, whether it's just one little thing that gets them through the next day, or when they come back 6 months later and go, man, I actually started, communicating this way to my child, and now they talk to me every night. I get them to open up, and, it's like, oh, just to know the generational things that are happening there. Hands down, one of my favorite experiences, just coming alongside to hear those stories.
Yeah. And it's such a blessing. So if you haven't been a part of it, I highly encourage you to check out and be a part of this community. Joshua does a good job being a good facilitator, and even just him and others as well, just chiming in some ideas and input, insight on how to best father our children. So really, really worth it. So thank you for sharing about that. So I want to jump from another platform now. So into the YouTube world. I saw you just started posting videos. Man, you're getting some views, 1,000 views plus. And how did that come about? Start as far as starting a YouTube channel and the Faithful Misfits.
Yeah. Yes. So I love this story. This is another great testimony of just how God will work in your life. In 2019, I was traveling down to Carmel, Indiana to a corporate job I had, and I felt this urge to like post a video, like I'm using my Facebook always for positivity. And yeah, I mean, I am, but I get this like feeling to post a video. So I record this video and I'm like, all right, just upload it. And a lot of my friends on Facebook were commenting, liking, sharing, and messaging me about the change that they saw in me. Because that was the first time some of them had really, heard me speak on the changes in my life. And it just took off, but nothing really came of it. But people in my life were, man, I really like that video, and I really like your approach to these things. I think you should do that more. Well, I've always journaled, and I've been recording videos for my children for 2-3 years now, maybe longer. Yeah, and I'm saving them for them as a group, and then also like sending them individual videos. So vlogging was kind of a thing already, but Shout out to my sister-in-law, Rebecca. I was over at their house and we were just maybe having dinner. I forget the occasion. But she's like, hey, Joshua, I have a challenge for you. And I'm like, okay. I mean, if you want to get me involved in something, just challenge me. I mean, it's that simple. Ping pong, staring at the sun contest. I mean, but she's like, I have a challenge for you. And I'm like, okay. She goes, but you have to accept it before I give you the challenge. I'm like, this is going to be good. I accept. And she says, I think you should start uploading videos of your testimony to YouTube. Now, granted, I already said yes. So instantly I'm like, oh no, like okay. But then I got excited. I'm like, it's time. It's not about being perfect or polished.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being obedient. And I think God was speaking through her to me, letting me know that now that I'm in line with him, that there is a purpose in my life. And there is a spot where I have gifts that I'm squandering, even if I'm doing X, Y, and Z and living out a faithful life. You have to find that purpose. And God has given me a testimony for a reason. And so that's what transpired it. But the men's group that I started a year ago, after a few meetings and we all were getting acquainted, and I knew some of them, 2 of them have been my best friends growing up that have recently given their life to Christ.
Come on.
And a lot through what I had been doing in my life and in their life. But we coined ourselves the Misfits. We were like, wow, I mean, if you look around this circle of 12, 11 guys, it's like, how did we all get here? I mean, the stories and the testimony, it's unreal. Guys that have been walking with Christ their whole life, people that are searching and they're just curious, but they need fellowship, So we coined ourselves the Misfits, and I knew instantly that the YouTube channel would be The Faithful Misfit. And that is to embody how it's not about perfection. It's being labeled a misfit to society,
mm-hmm.
but still living out boldly in your faith. And it is to spread awareness on the gospel, which I think is the greatest news ever. And I want to use my brokenness, my weakness, to exemplify God's overwhelming grace and just his overall plans for anyone's life it's taking off in a way that I never thought it would. I was thinking, a couple of views and a comment would be cool. And I don't really gauge the success really on that, but it is interesting to see that the comments that are left and people that are that are engaging in it are really, they're wanting to know, more about me, more about God, more about how they share their testimonies. So it's been incredible. And, it's so wonderful to see that God is still using platforms and everyday life to build the kingdom here on earth.
Yeah. Hey, now you know, if you haven't checked it out, Faithful Misfit. Excuse me, I said misfits earlier, but the Faithful Misfit, singular.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And keep it up. Do you have any? I feel like you're a planner. You have any goals as far as where you want to take this platform, or just kind of seeing where the Lord takes it day by day?
Yeah. For right now, it's really day by day. But I feel like this coming about of it could be a podcast, to where I'm bringing about guys from my men's group, other people, male and female, that I know and that have ministered into my life. But for now, I want to dive into the testimony that I have. I really want to get my story, God's story, out there, because right now, just when I'm uploading a video, it's really, I'm trying to figure out where it will land in the kingdom side of, okay, I'm going to put out a video, and let's say that's, another X amount of views or a single comment where I can just spend that time ministering to whoever's on the other side.
Mm.
So right now it's just building it out, uploading the testimony, uploading my thoughts, hot topics of the world, and just getting our footprint as Christians, as followers of Christ out there. Because everyone wants to talk about culture. It's all about the culture.
Yeah.
I never experienced such a great culture as I have in the Christian community. The fellowship, the camaraderie, meeting people where they are, all of that. That's what I'm building on now, is just getting that out there, that no, it's not what you think. You don't clean up and then get in the shower.
Mm.
No, that's pointless. You get in the shower to get clean. And that's what this is here. That's what this page, that's what this channel, that's what I'm trying to put out there and preach to the world, is that I'm a mess. I mean, I've been off of alcohol for just over a year. And I've been drinking since I was probably 14, 15 years old. I'm almost 37. How is that possible? I've tried every other avenue you can think of. I mean, besides like being hypnotized, I mean, I've tried it. I've tried every getaway, and I mean, everything. And it's always led me back to self-destruction.
Mm.
This was the only time 3 years ago when I decided that I would surrender my life to Jesus, that then breakthroughs started happening. And they started happening fast. And it was like that preparation, right? I mean, you're preparing, you don't even know it. And
Yeah.
then as soon as you line up with his purpose and his goal for your life, boom. And it still shocks you. It still shocks you that he uses you.
Yeah.
It still shocks you that you even have the chance to tell your story and to help others find that, to find Jesus.
Yeah. I like that. So, yeah, powerful words, words of wisdom from you. So thank you for touching on that. So check it out, Josh's YouTube channel, The Faithful Misfit. You don't want to miss out on that. Um, yeah, I'm gonna touch on faith for a little bit. So can you just walk us through when was that moment when you decided? I know you said growing up, you were the troubled kid and picked on things like that. Went through a lot of circumstances. Who was that person, or what was that moment of that person sharing the gospel with you and you saying yes, yes, I want to follow Jesus.
Yeah, this is a part of that brokenness to boldness moment, when just 3 years ago I was pretty low in life. I mean, going through just going through things. I mean, as a father, husband, employee, all of it, name it. I mean, life was just happening and it was kicking my butt. Well, we were invited to our home church now, where the person that invited us didn't even go there. They were like, "Hey, they're having this event in their parking lot. You should go. It's free. The kids would love it." So we went and we had a great time, great experience, a super fun event. And someone there just told me, "Hey, do you plan on, attending church service here?" They're like, "No, I mean, we're kind of, not really looking for a church home, but I might be interested." Well, they stream their services, their weekend services on YouTube. You should, this Sunday, check out online. You don't even have to come in. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we will. So come Sunday, we sat down as a family and turned on the sermon online, and within the first 15 minutes, I was a wreck. I mean, the song that was on was, if I remember right, either Firm Foundation, something like how God is your foundation of life. And I had this overpowering moment of grief where I felt lost, for real. Like, no, they're going to find out. Everyone's about to find out my life's crumbling. And that's not always a bad thing. But at the moment, I felt like everything was coming down. And at the end of the service, there was a message: need prayer, text this number.
Mm-hmm.
So I text the number. Not long after, a pastor called and we pray. And, I tell him, I'm just lost. I've never had someone pray for me really like this lately. Because backtracking, I mean, we were a Christian home. I mean, I knew who Jesus was and what he did, and I believed. You know, I'll admit I didn't have a relationship with him. I didn't let him. I mean, he was my savior, but he wasn't my Lord.
Mm.
And at that moment, I realized I can't just trust God with my afterlife. I mean, what about now? What am I doing now? And so he prayed. We got connected with the church, and we went in. We're going. This is it. And within the first few months, Savannah, my now wife, was baptized. Like, she just signed up and, hey, I'm getting baptized next week. And I'm like, well, we're doing it too. So then I was baptized. My daughters were baptized. We dedicated my son, all one fell swoop. But the moment that I realized that it was now or never was I was having a moment of with God, right? It was in between, it was middle of the week, a couple months in, and I was just praying. I was like, Lord, how are you going to get me out of this? Because at the time I was still drinking, and not heavily. I was a 3, 4 beer kind of guy, but that led to moments where I pushed the limit, and I would, find myself tipsy drunk or just saying yes to stupid things but anyway, but I knew I needed out, and I was praying. I said, Lord, how are you going to get me out of this? You've gotten me out of so much, but this, I don't know how you're going to do this. And I had this vision. It's not like the room changed or anything. I didn't teleport, but I had this vision of me in the juvenile detention center that I ended up in when I was 16. And there's this familiar smell of bleach and stainless steel that I still can encounter and be triggered, because it brings me back to those times where I was behind, when I was in a cell. I mean, I was locked up 20, 23, 7 at 15, 16 years old. And I was sitting in the cell and the door was closed. It's a steel door. There's a small, maybe a 1x3 window. I couldn't see through it. And all of a sudden the door pops and it opens. And I heard the Spirit or God come on to me and say, Joshua, if I can open that door, what makes you think I can't open this one? And I just sat there. You're right, Lord. Here I am. I'm done. I can't fight anymore. I can't sit back, but I can't keep doing this. So I started volunteering. And it's not like a checkbox. I don't want to come off like that. It's not like you hit this checkbox. It's really, really not. It's a relationship with Jesus Christ and having him at the center of your life. But I started getting involved. I started realizing, whoa, there's this giant need. There's spots that I can actually help. And when you realize that you are actually building up the kingdom of God, it just drives you. And from there I got involved in men's groups. I did men's groups for 2 years. My job changed, and God's like, "Well, you're still going to do a men's group. You're just starting one." But it was getting to a point then where it's just a beautiful moment of God saying, "Look, you don't have the keys. I do.
Mm.
I need you to trust me and to live for me and to lay it all down and let me give you what I've always had for you." And that was 3 years ago. Baptized, incredible moment. And since then, it's not been easy. It's one of the hardest things I've actually done. I've did mixed martial arts. I've done a lot of physical, mental, draining things, but this is one where you just keep finding that second wind, where you don't know how you're going to make it. And next thing you know, boom, there it is. So it's just having that faith. But that was a huge moment for me when I heard from God, and that moment of desperation. I was pleading out, Lord, and I think that's what it takes. It takes, not every time, but it does take a moment for us to say, your way. It's no longer me. I can't do this. Only you. And that submission will empower you more than you'll ever imagine.
Mm. Man, What an incredible story. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, to God be the glory for how He used you and still using you to impact His kingdom. So, man, yeah, thank you for that. Um, are there any books that you're reading currently, either from the Bible or just books in general that you kind of read to stay educated? And
Yes. The book that I'm in the most is the Bible. I used to really be into Stephen King, James Patterson, Dean Koontz, a lot of these like
yeah,
kind of thrillers, if you want to say. Gave them all away. All of them. Don't want them anymore. Not interested. And if you are a reader, like if you love stories and you love just being immersed in characters, and I hate the word character because these are real people, but if you
yeah,
like those kind, the Bible, hands down, best. It has everything that you're looking for. Love story, just all the stories are just great. But recently I started actually studying Paul, Apostle Paul, and didn't know that he once called himself Saul. And Saul was not a man to be played with. He was a persecutor and he was a man of reputation. People feared him, didn't want to mess with him. And he had this road to Damascus moment where, God met him and Jesus met him and said, why are you doing this? Why are you're actually persecuting me? And next thing you know, he's transformed and he goes on to be such a critical figure uh, to the faith. So I would encourage people just to find those people in the Bible, Paul, John, all these people, and figure out who they were, what they do well, what can I learn from them? A book that I love that has to do with fathers. I want to touch on that.
hmm
There's an advocate that I have come to. I mean, so much of her work I have delved into, but it's Dr. Meg Meeker. And she wrote a book a while back called Strong Daughters, Strong Fathers.
okay,
And that was a love gift from Savannah when Deja was born. I remember reading it and realizing how actually important a father was. I didn't know. I just thought, mothers are the most important people, which I still feel like they're great. But we have a role too, right? We have a
yeah,
spot where we can shine. And reading that book really, really changed my life when it comes to being a father. So, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters by Meg Meeker. I actually gift that book to fathers. And I'm reading one now it's not, I was trying to think of the author right now because I just got this book from my mother in law, but it's A Purpose Driven Life.
yeah,
Tremendous read so far. I'm like 4 chapters in, and it's already like one of those books where it's easy to pick up and start. And it's so hard to put down because it's such practical, good information. And
yeah,
you're, and when it clicks like that, you're like, oh man, this is so practical. It's so good. But there's a lot of truth in that, a lot of spots to go. But that's what I'm reading right now. And I can already tell you I'm going to recommend that book already being in this far. But those two are the most recent. And yeah, so and there's a couple other different platforms that I listen to as well. So when I'm not reading, I do like this. There's a podcast called Dad Tired, Tired, Dad Tired. Great podcast, good information for fathers. But yeah, so I mean, I do listen to different platforms as well when it comes to that.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for
This book is really good right now.
yeah. I have to check out the Meg Meeker book, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters.
Huge advocate, huge for fathers, and to have a female in that space to advocate for us fathers is hands down a great experience.
All right, yeah, yeah. I want to circle back and as we begin to wrap up here, uh, you touched on fatherhood, and I love it. What's your encouragement, your advice to those who one day want to be a father, is a father, things like that? What's your encouragement, your advice to those gentlemen?
Yeah. I think encouragement is something that we need to take a hold of. So for the father, for the expecting father, for the father of old, be present. Just be present. Hold yourself accountable. If you make promises, keep them. But I think the biggest thing is that you need to find community. You need to find community. And I've had a lot of people in my life that have given me advice and come alongside me. But the power behind finding Christian men who live out what they say, not just the guys who show up on Sunday, check a box and leave, the ones who are involved. And you can tell, we all know it's the fruit, right? So, but it's I can't express it enough that the resources are out there. And you got to lean in. You got to go full force and say, look, I might not. We have an example of a great father in Jesus and in God. You have the blueprint right there. Living out as Christ, doing the little things, all the others will add up. So I think the biggest part of that is just be present, be mindful, try to be accountable, and take it day by day. You cannot change the world in a day. It's little things. Setting your alarm and waking up when it goes off, or snooze it once if you're like me, or twice. But getting up, putting just getting up, getting going, being present, and just making sure that you're not finding yourself alone for too long. I think being alone and finding your time is great, but you can't stay there. You can't stay by yourself. It's too dangerous. That's when the enemy can get you, is when you're alone. There's this 3 chords, right? It's not easily broken. Finding that community and believing in yourself. You might not feel equipped, but you are. You already have it inside of you. You just need to focus on that and start building that, not the other stuff. Don't compare, contemplate if this person, if I had that, or in a year, if I get this, then it'll be good. No, it's now. It's now, and it's learning to live in fullness or living without. Paul, Philippians, Paul's like, hey, I know what it's like to be full. I know what it's like to be hungry. And I've learned the trick. I've learned the tool. I've learned a way to do that and be satisfied in all seasons. And that's through Jesus Christ.
Amen. Man, dropping gems, man. I appreciate you, man. So thank you for sharing and man, what a conversation we just had. That was awesome. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you too. And thank you for this platform that you've put together. I went back and I've been watching the episodes, and just shout out to everyone else that has come on and spread their testimony and their stories. And we all thank you from the bottom of our hearts to have this platform and to be doing what you're doing, Cheyenne. It means a lot to us. You're encouraging us, and thank you for letting me be a part of this great movement.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Trying to listen, learn, and lean into it. So everyone has a story to tell, and hopefully we can grasp and get a hold of the ultimate story being Jesus Christ. So, because he's a game changer, life changer, and we are nothing without him. So, Josh, thank you so much for jumping on here, and thanks for tuning in. Those listening and watching, check out Josh. You can find him on social media. He's already stated that, and so be encouraged, be blessed. We out.
Thank you.